Hey, Brandon, you ready to record another episode of the PS Midnight Cast?
Yeah, man, I got my notes pulled up. I'm ready to go.
Cool. So apparently, I don't know what happened. Somewhere along the way, we got transferred into another galaxy where apparently the Virtual Boy is a national treasure. So we must be in Larry's dreams.
Yeah, I saw an article where it was like the #1 best-selling game system of all time. And I'm like,
this world hurts, man.
it's a crazy world. Like, apparently Hulk Hogan's the president.
Larry, yeah, this is definitely Larry's dream. All right,
Yeah,
roll the intro.
man.
What is going on, world? Welcome back to the staff-picked podcast known as the Retro Gamers. Larry here, and this week, the first of 3, it's just me as far as the Retro Gamers. But don't worry, folks, because if the Yin and the Yang podcast taught us anything, it's at a solo show. Sometimes it's a little tough to listen to. So this week, I have 2 of one of my best podcast buddies who are becoming actually best friends. These guys definitely do their own stuff, their own shows that are phenomenal, and they are PS Midnight Cast, which is just all things nostalgia. Josh, Brandon, gentlemen, welcome to the Retro Gamers.
I'm Anthony. I'm Brandon. Co-host of the PS Midnight Cast.
Look, as CEO of more of the same network.
Wait, are you really?
There's already 2 Anthonys. There cannot be room for a third. Larry, you're gonna have to let one of them go.
I got my close-knit group of friends. There are way too many Anthonys already, so I'm used to multiple Anthonys.
We need to simplify this for the listeners.
This is true. I'm gonna go by. I didn't look past your CEO comment. I understand this hostile takeover, which you've been doing. So I got eyes all over the place, my friend. Don't you worry.
Oh,
if he's CEO, then I'm GM.
Do you go to bed at night with one eye open?
I do. That's what happens when you live on your own, because you never know what's happening there.
I think you're afraid of people coming in and stealing your pops.
You know what? That is very true. I got some good ones, my friend. My autograph section there is hanging tight, including the can of Burton's Beans from Blazing Saddles.
Oh, man. It's a classic.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So, gentlemen, you're here this week, here actually helping out co-hosting. Josh, you've been on the show numerous times. In fact, I'm going to blame you for my fiscal responsibility of all the retro games that I've been buying. So
to be fair, you guys did not have to take me up on my challenge.
I got hoodwinked into it. Brandon, I believe this is your first time on the Retro Gamers.
It is. I have had a section on the show dedicated to me one time, though.
That you did, yes.
Spider-Man game.
Yep. That was a good one, too. And actually, these are the 2 gentlemen who, for a while, we kind of lay low on it lately, but that's all right. You know, life gets in the way. But when we were live streaming weekly, these are the 2 gentlemen that were assisting me and Anthony with the live streams. And you guys were playing some good stuff, playing some good games. And I don't know how kind of to introduce, especially you, Brandon, introducing yourself to this audience. Like retro gaming, like what you have growing up, you know, system-wise, kind of like what your deal was when it came to gaming.
So my deal was I got whatever my uncle was done with. So he'd get whatever came out and give me what. So my 2 primary systems was Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. And then when he got a little bit older, he gave me his PS1. And then I got a PS2 after it came out. So Nintendo, Sega, but Sony was kind of my favorite systems, the PlayStation.
All right.
It's kind of my thing.
There you go. Because, me and Anthony tend to be heavy Nintendo. We've had a couple people on the show who heavy Sega. You're probably one of the first who leaned towards the Sony side of it growing up.
Oh, man, I think the PlayStation 2 is the greatest game system of all time.
All right. Big words, my friend.
Yeah, big words, and I'll stand by it.
And, Josh, you're the reason why I'm not going to get a Virtual Boy, so I'm going to leave you out of it.
But you can still get the Virtual Boy. You just got to stop spending money.
That is a philosophy I need to live in all aspects of my life, not just gaming. But Josh, you definitely you've gotten the bug a little bit for the nostalgia gaming. We've spoken a few times, especially about some games you've been looking for. You came across that X-Files game, right?
I did. I played it. I played it a couple of times. I mean, it's kind of what I anticipated it being. I've logged probably about 4 or 5 hours into it.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm still on the first disc, so I don't know how much of the stories in the first disc versus second, third, and fourth.
Oh wow.
But it's a long game. But I've been playing more recently. Toy Story on Sega Genesis has been my go-to game when I'm just kind of hanging out. I love that game.
The Disney games, really, you can't go wrong with them. I mean, they've had the classics with Aladdin, with Lion King on Genesis, and for the PlayStation, I have most of the Disney games. Bugs Life, Toy Story. I think Hercules is one of the ones I'm missing, actually. And that one's a classic as well. Disney, they've done right by their video games. That I got to tell you.
Except for Aladdin, it's freaking hard.
It is difficult. That's probably what makes it fun, though. Sometimes it's still harder.
Not Mortal Kombat too hard. Brandon.
What? What's wrong with that?
You're a Mortal Kombat fan?
Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance changed my life.
Deadly Alliance?
Yeah, that game was awesome.
I'm gonna have to kick you off
But 3
the
was
show.
really good, too.
Mortal Kombat 3 was very good. And we're going to talk about that. What?
What's your problem with Deadly Alliance?
I wasn't crazy about... If it's not a numbered Mortal Kombat game, I wasn't crazy about it.
I thought Sub-Zero was your favorite.
He's one of my favorite. My go-to is Raiden.
No, the Sub-Zero games.
Oh. Yeah. Like Mythologies? Ugh.
Yeah. The one that never got that brand off the ground.
Yeah, they tried. They failed miserably. It's almost like...
Hey, Shaolin Monk was a good game, I'll be honest.
I compare Mythologies to, just kind of like, trying to spin off a Star Wars character into its own movie with a recent release and maybe not doing too well, but some people still love it.
I'm the only one here that's actually seen it, so you can't say that. But by the way, I will take this right now, streaming on Blog Talk Radio and all other podcasting services. You can check out our spoiler-filled review, Victims and Villains, Solo, a Star Wars story. My mouth wanted to say a Toy Story. I don't know why.
Solo, a Toy Story. That'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
I'd be down for it.
But, all right, so Solo, yes, you're right. I'm in jest, of course, joking about Solo. I haven't seen it yet. But sometime, you guys, you definitely you have that pop culture to you. Victims and Villains is all about pop culture. And on the PS Midnight Cast, you guys definitely have talked about music, movies, television shows. Let me ask you this with the nostalgia factor, especially from Brandon's side, because we got him on the show. What are your thoughts on the video game movies, of the 90s, of the early 2000s? They've been much better nowadays. But when they first started coming out, may have been a little tough. Brandon, do you remember any of them?
Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a good movie.
Oh, my goodness.
Better than the first Mortal Kombat?
It's not better than the first one.
I need to leave this now.
It was really bad, but I liked it a lot.
Okay.
I didn't like that they switched Raiden actors. That was dumb. But anyway, Mortal Kombat, the first one, was actually really good, for real. I liked it a whole lot.
Kombat Alliance is in the same regard.
Is
to movies what the Virtual Boy is to video games.
Okay. Oofa. Annihilation's tough. Yes, I got to admit. They threw a lot of characters in that weren't in the first movie, and they just offed them in the first 20 minutes.
I just stopped watching it within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
Well, it was off the hype of number 3 though. All the characters were from Mortal Kombat 3.
I remember the big thing about Annihilation also being was 3. I think 3 was the first Mortal Kombat that used the. You can put in the codes right before the fight started, to either enhance your power abilities or do something goofy with the game. And I remember, I think there was a code at the end of the movie, even after the end of the trailer, that you can put in the game later. I forgot what it did. And I remember when I saw Annihilation, it was almost kind of more to get the codes than really to see the movie, because it was just, they threw it at you for the sake of throwing it at you, in my opinion.
Sindel was hot, dude. What are you talking about?
This is true. And Melina and all them.
How about the Street Fighter movie?
It's funny. I was going to say that next. Street Fighter. Which one did you prefer? Street Fighter with the muscles from Brussels, or Street Fighter with Lana Lang?
I don't know who Lana Lang is.
What? Really?
From Smallville.
Oh, her?
Kristen Krug, yeah.
Which one was she in?
She was in the 2005, 2008 version.
Yeah, she played.
I haven't seen that one.
It's better than the first one. I'm going to tell you that. Even though
it
one
has
has nothing to do with
Jean-Claude Van Damme in it.
Van Damme, who no one really likes. I went to. I think I told it on one of the other podcasts when I went to Chiller Theater a few weeks ago. We actually, speaking of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I met Shao Kahn from that movie, Brian Thompson.
Yeah.
Yep. Very nice guy, would not shut up, kept talking to us, which was nice, though, nothing bad. And my buddy, Anthony Chu, co-host of the Yin and the Yang podcast, he asked him, he's like, hey, how was it working with Van Damme? And he just goes, Van Damme was a giant a-hole. I did not. I don't know what movie they worked on. I forgot. Wait, was it Cobra? Van Damme and Cobra? No. But... yeah, Brian Thompson did not like Van Damme. But Street Fighter the movie or Street Fighter the movie the game, which one was worse?
The movie the game.
You remember that one?
No.
They actually made Street Fighter from the movie. So just imagine the digitalized versions of all of them, of all the actors put into a Street Fighter arcade game.
I've never seen or played it, but I will probably go on a limb and say that the game was worse. 90% of the time when you're having a video game based around a movie, it's going to be probably awful.
And not because it was a game based on a movie that was based on a game. It's like photocopying a second page. You ever see Multiplicity? When they got to the fourth copy, it's a copy making a copy.
Pretty much at that point.
His tongue. Hi, Steve. All that stuff. That was tough. And let's go back even a little bit further. And even though we're going to get a new one, let's go back to the first Super Mario Brothers movie.
Dude, I love it.
he has a special place in his heart for camp.
I was gonna say, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think. Sometimes a movie is so bad it's good. Listen, that's my favorite television show of all time, Mystery Science Theater 3000. Their whole thing is taking bad movies and just riffing over them. Is that your case, Brandon? Where it was so bad it's good to you?
I thought it was really good. So
you like that Mario Paint style opening when they were talking about the dinosaurs?
Yeah, it was great. I watched it not long ago. It was on TV.
Was it really?
That network needs to be sued for airing garbage.
Hey, I'm pretty sure it was on Freeform.
That doesn't surprise me.
I can see that.
Hey, they had a Toy Story marathon today. You shut your mouth.
They have taste, so it's all right for them to have taste every now and then.
Now, what I want to talk about is truly a movie that I enjoy because of how campy it is, of how bad it is, in my opinion, but it's so bad that it comes around and it just gets good again, and that is Double Dragon. This was a movie that, when we announced, or when we were talking that we were going to do this crossover, Brandon's like, I want to talk Double Dragon. He didn't even agree to do the show yet. He's just like, I want to talk about Double Dragon.
So this is what this means, is that Brandon, that you can no longer do Double Dragon for PS Midnight Cast. This is your outlet for Double Dragon.
That's fine, because you don't want to do it anyway.
It better be fun. Yeah, and I didn't watch it. So
I remember
I didn't even know it was a movie until last year, thanks to Larry.
on the Hidden Gem part, I did that as a Hidden Gem. You go, your Hidden Gem's Double Dragon? Like, you're like, what?
I got news for you. So all right, so we're getting ready to watch Double Dragon. You know, in prep. I watched it. Brandon watched it. Trust me, Josh had much better things to do, and I don't blame him. So,
Larry.
True.
What? I meant that in a good way.
He didn't.
So I actually have, it's a Canadian copy, but I do have the DVD of Double Dragon. So I took a picture of it, and I put it on the Instagram page at @the_retro gamers. And a buddy of mine messaged underneath. He goes, "What is this?" I said, "It's Double Dragon the movie." He's like, "Oh, I thought it was like a TV show or something." Like, he didn't even know this was like, it's almost like this movie came out and then went away and everyone forgot about it. Which I guess may be good in the long run.
No, like, I don't know how we had it, but like, I just had the VHS as a kid, and I always watched it. I don't know where we got it from. We just had it. I don't know.
So
I think it's...
Yeah.
I have not seen this, but I think it given the fact that, you know, Robert Patrick's in this, when you look at his career, I think the two things that people most know him for are Terminator and the X-Files. Like, he hasn't really done a lot of things. And, like, you know, I think in cults, like, you know, cult classic groups, like, I feel like this is a film that, you know, there's a room for there's room for these types of fans. And this fandom definitely obviously appeals to for whatever reason.
And I feel, you know, Robert Patrick, you know, you mentioned him. Yeah, he played the villain in the movie, Kogashuko. I felt like after Terminator, I kind of felt like movie-wise, he started getting these roles that would just, I don't know, like below him. No offense, Brandon, to the movie, but kind of a little below him. You know, Double Dragon. He was in the first Marine with John Cena. And, you know, listen, everyone knows how I am with wrestling, but, you know, to see him as the antagonist in that type of movie, especially when they throw out a Terminator line in the Marine, and he just kind of looks at the screen like, you know, I don't know, it's weird. Like, Robert Patrick, I felt like never really got that hit again, movie-wise, since Terminator 2.
False. He had one of the Wayne's World movies.
He did do a cameo in the first one. That's very true. Have you seen this boy? Yeah. So that is very true. So let's run down.
I have a confession.
What?
I've never seen any of the Terminator movies.
Really?
What's wrong with you?
Wow.
Dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, you can skip like the Christian Bale one. It was godly awful, but I would recommend the first two.
I still haven't seen Genesis, I will admit. But you know what? And 1 and 2 are classics, and I'm gonna say 3 wasn't bad. Well, what's her face? Christina Loken? Is that her name? Loken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad film, so per se. Like, I mean, it's just it's not as strong as the second one was. I felt like the second one kind of set the bar so high for that franchise that they've never been able to capture it since. And like, I haven't seen Genesis yet, but from what I'm told, it's not that bad of a film, but it kind of almost rewrites the history of the Terminator franchise.
Which I feel like a lot of movies that go back to these franchises are doing. Star Trek did it.
Halloween's getting ready to do it.
Exactly, because the new one's taking place after 2, right?
No, it's taking place after it's rewriting the end of the first one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
okay.
It's kind of like uncanonizing everything after the first film.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
It's just kind of I guess it's just the way of fixing things, if you will.
It's no longer about remakes. It's now kind of like this whole like the new trend is like, how can we fix this good film?
Very true. Very true. And with the rundown of Double Dragon, let's do this. So it came out opening weekend, November 6, 1994. It was budgeted at $7.8.5 million. Opening weekend, 1.3. Let's say 1.4. We'll give him some credit. And it only grossed about 2.4. Now, Anthony, he's the one that works in Hollywood. He can usually run these by really good. You can... Oh, I'm sorry. I set my Siri off. She doesn't even like those numbers. So it was a rough going for Double Dragon, and like Josh said, we had Robert Patrick. The stars, Jimmy and Billy, were Mark Dacascos and Scott Wolf from Party of Five, who I guess
that was a big deal back then.
If I remember, was all the rage back then. And of course, the reason why I ended up watching it, Alyssa Milano, as playing Marion, sweet Marion, the very character who gets punched in the stomach in the beginning of the arcade game.
Well, you got to figure that for like that generation that was entering it out, these are not household names. These are at best television names, because you have Who's the Boss, Party of Five, and the guy from the Terminator movie. So, like, I can understand a little bit better now. You know, how do you market a film like that? Like, you look at the upcoming It film, and it has A-list actors, but then on the Fallout, it also has people that are best known for TV. Mm-hmm. So you can market it on the star power and the anticipation of the factor, but I feel like Double Dragon could have been a better film had it been marketed a little bit better and maybe gotten like a better cast.
It almost feels like a TV movie. And I think they were trying to get those household names, literally household names. But then once the movie starts, and this is where, Brandon, I want to hear your ideas of this as well. It does, throughout the movie, it does have that, it just has that niche of like, are they doing this just for the sake of doing it? They just kind of, they were forcing the game aspect onto it. Now, did you, especially when you first watched it, Brandon, like, did you recognize the game moments and, things related to the video game or anything like that?
Dude, I didn't know it was a video game until like a year ago.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I really didn't. I had no idea.
You enjoyed this movie on a whole different level.
Yeah, I did.
Fair enough. So
I grew up watching it, so it was like a big deal.
And, like, what was it that you liked? Like, what stood out from it? What did you enjoy from it? And, again, look, I love a great bad movie. Last night, from us recording, I watched Birdemic 2, which was a terrible movie. It's on Amazon Prime. I sat there for an hour and a half watching this piece of garbage, but it was so bad it was fun. Like, what made you fall in love with Double Dragon, the movie?
I guess because it reminded me of stuff that I was into, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. It reminded me of that stuff with the martial arts and like the spiritual stuff with the bad guys and everything. So it reminded me. It was in the same vein as things I already loved, and as the fighting games or fighting things in general. So like that was really cool. And then I always thought Satori was really hot.
Okay.
So that made me watch it all the time because I thought she was pretty good looking for the older woman she was trying to portray in the movie. And I just thought I thought it was funny. I mean, I thought the humor of it was really funny, and I still laughed at some things in the movie too. And Bobo is the coolest name I ever heard of in my life.
And he, for what it's worth, he's not like pixel for screen the exact same looking a Bobo that's in the game, but for trying to put that on the screen, they came very close to it. Like, he actually looked like a Bobo, as close to it. And that's what I liked about the movie, that they really did try and, in some ways, try and match up the game. But sometimes it just got a little too wacky. You have your epic villain in the game. One of the bad guys that you fight are the whip-yielding ladies. I forgot what they're actually called in the game, but that would be Lash. the right hand man to Robert Patrick, even though it was a woman.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So with the whip, and that was a character in the game. Again, Marion, she's the girlfriend that you're off trying to rescue. Even though in this movie she's one of the heroes, as opposed to the damsel in distress. But again, you have Bobo, you have the even like near the end, the color scheme of the characters, red, blue. It was there. To me, that's what I liked about it, because back then, when I was 14 when the movie came out. So I wanted to see the video game on the screen. And I feel like in Double Dragon, that's what I got. Which I didn't get in Super Mario Brothers. So that was my joy.
Josh, your joy.
Well, you didn't see it, so...
Hashtag BB sucks.
There you go.
Oh.
And it was a little bit too much on the nose, like when near the end, in a very, very Ninja Turtles way, where in the first Ninja Turtles movie, you had the hideout where all the kids were playing games, betting, smoking, drinking. In this one, you had the Power Core, which had the same thing, the secret lair filled with kids, but it was the opposite side. They were having fun, helping each other, living a good life. Where the Power Core was trying to take over the streets of New Angeles in the far distant future of the year 2007. That's
what? That's considered New Age?
that was the the story was the big earthquake hit California, which they're all waiting for. Just destroyed the land. It became New Angeles. The streets are flooded. And like all the one of the funnier parts I liked was how basically all the Hollywood actors and actresses were basically out of work, so they got regular jobs as news anchors on their local channel. Where Vanna White and who was it? The guy who plays the extra crispy Colonel Sanders on the commercials.
Rob Lowe?
No, Rob Lowe's awesome on that one. No, gosh darn it. This is what I love about the movie.
Come on, Andy Dick?
Of editing. No, Andy Dick played the weatherman.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it was? He was uncredited. That's right. George Hamilton. He played one of the news anchors with Vanna White. And he hated it so much he was uncredited. But Andy Dick, was the weatherman. And, it's that always weird, 90s post-apocalyptic look of the world. It was always just so far-fetched, even for what we thought 2007 would have been in 1994. I felt like a lot of movies back then always had that weird post-apocalyptic look to it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at Back to the Future, like 2015, like some of that came true. I mean,
oh yeah, a lot of it actually came true. Short of the flying cars, I think there's one or two of them out there though. Still
the
waiting.
World Series.
So that almost came true. Just waiting for Jaws 19.
it's already out, man.
Shark still looks fake.
It's already out. It's on the black market.
Never seen the Jaws movie.
Oh wait, no, they still make them. They're called Sharknadoes.
See the sixth one coming out?
Good God.
Sharknado, the last one. It's about time. That's the name of the movie. Any time travel.
It fits.
Ian Ziering.
Wasn't Chris Jericho one of those?
I think he was in the third one.
I think Kurt Angle was in the one too.
He was in the second one.
Okay. That's amazing.
So, kind of the start to... Because there's really not a lot we could talk about with Double Dragon. But some of the, again, on-the-nose things in the movie that made it campy. For example, remember the two henchmen, Brandon? The two that are fighting Billy and Jimmy in the theater, like one of the first fights? Their names were Huey and Lewis.
Wow.
Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis in the News. So, a little take on a band name there. Jimmy and Billy, I was really hoping to hear, the ever popular mistranslation of Billy's name in the NES video game as Bimmy, Bimmy, which is actually in the game. In the first NES game, they misspelled his name. I was really hoping you'd get a Bimmy, but that didn't happen.
So Chris Klein's in this movie?
Was he in this movie?
No, I'm sorry. It's It looks like Chris Klein in one of these pictures. But how about this? It's not just a game anymore. You know, the tagline for it.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yeah. No. It's at one point the brothers are fighting because one half of the medallion, the double dragon, is soul, the other one is power, body. So Robert Patrick with the soul is able to, like take over someone's body, and he takes over Jimmy's body. So now the brothers are fighting each other, and it's so on the nose when they're fighting in front of a double dragon video game.
Wow.
Meanwhile, they're fighting over the amulet called the Double Dragon. That didn't make sense. And of course, the best line in any movie. I don't care what movie it is. Best line in any movie. Linda Lash, who's, again, she's the cohort, the bad female. Christina Wagner played her. Goes up to Alyssa Milano, stares right at her and goes, "Now who's the boss?"
Wow.
Challenge any other line.
Just sounds... That's about as bad as the last line in Fantastic Four.
I don't remember. Wait, which one?
The newest one.
Oh, I didn't
where they're like overseeing like the Reed Tower, and the thing like it says something, and Mr. Fantastic's like, "Say that again." So he says it again. He's like, "I think that sounds fantastic," and then it's like a black screen.
Oof.
I was like, "What?"
Oh, ouch!
Haven't seen
bad.
that.
Yeah, no
So
wonder why I
bad.
didn't see that movie.
Don't waste your time. It is absolute garbage. I mean, it's
Well.
like the Virtual Boy may be better.
What? All right, that's
That's
like
how bad
three
it
of them
is.
now. You hit your quota.
Okay, I need to know. Like
That was a
I don't know
compliment.
nothing about. I don't know nothing about Virtual Boy. But Larry, do you actually like this game system? I know nothing about.
The Virtual Boy?
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
So what is it?
Okay, this is we're gonna introduce
I
a
don't know
new
what it
segment this week called "Let's School Brandon on Some Video Gaming History."
Please, dude, make that a thing.
The Virtual Boy was deemed a portable system put out by Nintendo, actually created by the same guy who created the Game Boy, the original Game Boy, one of the most, if not the most successful handheld system of all time. I'm not going to count sales, just overall love of the system. So the Virtual Boy was meant to be just that, this take on 3D gaming. Okay. The name Virtual Boy probably made it a little bit more than it should have been. It wasn't really virtual reality, but it was 3D gaming, which was all the craze in the mid to late 90s. Or at least it was something new. But what happens is this portable system came with legs that you had to put on a stand. It was all red, the outside. You stick your head into it. So you actually have to like contort your body so you can look into the visor. It's almost like, have you seen a PlayStation VR, or VR headset?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like, but it was stationary. It didn't attach to your head. And then when you play the games, they were all red. The only color that came out was red. And,
That's not true. There was some black in there.
well, there had to be because that was the background. Black was the background, but it was mostly red. Some vector graphics, some line graphics. But it truly, absolutely, truly gave you that depth, that 3D effect. Not like a 3DS, but it gave you this, in my opinion, this true foreground and background feel to it. Now, I was in the very, very small minority because it is the least successful system for Nintendo. One of the worst.
Not true. It is the second one following the Double D. The 64 Double D.
For the U.S. market, though, because this drive never came out in the U.S. For the U.S. market, it was a complete and utter dismal failure. So the man who created the Game Boy, brought all this money into Nintendo, was promptly fired because of the lackluster of the Virtual Boy. And the Virtual Boy goes down in history, again, as one of the worst systems in gaming history.
But you love it.
Yeah.
It also came with a warning before you start it that it could, one, induce seizures, and two, that you should not play it more than 15 minutes because you may suffer neck damage and eye damage.
It actually had an auto pause. It would automatically pause, but you could turn it off. But you're right, before every game, that warning came up. So it was, I guess, from a design point, not the best in the world. You know, every game that comes out always has that epilepsy warning to it, but not every game has that warning when you turn it on. So that's what this thing was about. But I truly loved it. I will go on record saying 2 of the best games in gaming history that will not ever get its credit because of the Virtual Boy was Mario Clash and Wario Land. Both on the Virtual Boy. 2 phenomenal games. The rest of them, all right. Not the best in the world.
What?
Now,
you didn't like Mario Tennis?
The pack-in games usually aren't always the best. Now, the final my closing statements on this is going to be that, and this is 100% real. It's a shoot. We do not make this up. Me and Anthony, when we talk about this every week, you know, I've known Anthony for almost 25 years now. When like a week after I got the Virtual Boy, I brought it over his house in the box because there was no carrying case for it other than the actual box it came in. Brought it over to his house. Took me about 10 minutes to set it up. Hooked it all up. Played it a little bit. Showed him how to use it. Anthony stuck his head into the visor. Played it for like 10 seconds. Looked at me and went, "This is the worst thing I've ever played in my life." He legitimately hated it from day one. So, he's apparently one of the 10% who just cannot see 3D, in my opinion. And that is an actual, well, it was a statistical stat back then. That 10% of people cannot see 3D.
I didn't know that.
Probably why he wears glasses.
Oh.
But yeah, he's hated it from day one. I've loved it since day one. And I think the Virtual Boy should get more love than it truly does. But apparently Anthony
It is one of those... No, he did not hire me. I will go on record saying that these are my own opinions. I've never played a Virtual Boy. I've seen the video games systems for it, and it was trying to do something revolutionary. And for its time period, it wasn't capable of doing that.
Correct.
And I think that if you're gonna market something as a VR experience, it probably should have been test marketed more heavily. Probably should not have come with a warning label about epilepsy and permanent eye damage and neck damage, and maybe should have gotten, like, you know, better games for it.
Well, to solve the neck damage part, you just play with it laying down. You just bounce it on your head. That's how I used to play it.
But you also should not have to take, for a portable system, you should not have to take 10 minutes to set up.
All right, maybe I took like 5. You know, the box, I taped the box up really good.
That's still too much. Like a Game Boy,
no, you're right.
Pull it out of my pocket, and I'm just like, oh, turn on.
You know, you're exactly. It was bulky for a portable system, but also the other thing I think is unfair to knock it for was the fact that it was in red, because the original Game Boy was green, for crying out loud. Later, black and white. So, you know, the red is just an easy jab at it. Yes, the portability stunk. Majority of the games weren't that good. One of the games, I forgot the name of the game. It was almost like a not Street Fighter, a Star Fox type game. It wasn't Star Fox. I forgot what it was called. I think I still have it. But the vector graphics, like those line graphics, were that made it difficult to see where you were going because everything blended into each other. That was the only problem, because it did have better graphics than a Game Boy. It didn't look like a red Game Boy. It had some, I would say, 16-bit. Was it 16-bit? I would say sometimes looked like a.
I would say 16-bit.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's fair.
A little bit downgraded Super Game Boy Advance. And but yeah, Mario Clash, and Wario Land, I think 2 tremendous games that will never get its just due. And you know what, Brandon? If we ever meet, I will let you try the Virtual Boy if I get my hands on one.
Hey,
all right.
You know exactly where one's at. You just have to be a pirate in order to play it.
No, that one's long gone.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I think they scrapped it.
good for them. I mean, if you can ever like, get the money together, Anthony can always get one from Super Potato.
I ain't
Your
paying
credit card
that
would love
exchange
you.
rate. Get him to buy me one just so he can destroy one? That almost seems very meta.
I'm anticipating that Facebook Live video.
As is everybody else.
Games for this system right now. Interesting. Let's see, you got Mario Clash, Wario Land, Teleboxer.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah, sounds like it. Bomberman, Panic Room, Water World.
Oh, I forgot they made a Water World game, yeah.
Yeah. Perfect example of how movies should not be turned into video games.
And some video games should never have been made into movies.
Did you play Virtual Bowling?
Probably.
How about Virtual Fishing?
I didn't have that. Wait a minute. I think some of these games weren't real. Hold on.
Hold on. No, I'm looking right now. Virtual Fishing, 7.8 out of 10 on GameSpot.
All right, that's not a bad rating.
Initial release date was October 6, 95. Packing Video, publisher, developer, Virtual Boy platform.
It will get its just due. Trust me, in due time.
I mean, it's been like 20 years, so I don't see due time coming anytime.
Yeah. I can't say anything. I didn't know what it was until it's now.
Boo.
I mean, hey, I had a Sega Dreamcast for like 2 days. I didn't like it.
No, you didn't like a Dreamcast?
Nah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to explore this. What games did you play?
God, I don't remember. Yeah, it was just two. My cousin let me have his for a little bit because he didn't like it, so he wanted me to try it out. I don't remember what I played on it, but I just remember not really liking it, so I gave it back to him.
Huh.
And then he never saw it again.
Wow. Dreamcast is probably one of the best systems. I mean, look, to each their own. I get it. Don't get me wrong. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But the Dreamcast, definitely, that should not have been Sega's last system. That Dreamcast was like having an actual arcade machine at your house.
It was like a missed opportunity. I'm told.
Thinking about, because our local like DIY game store has some. I thought about going and buying one. Buy some games and playing it again.
Bro. No, you go, Larry.
No. I was just going to list some games off. But before I do that, what was your idea there, Josh?
I was going to say, man, if you can go to that store and find me a copy of Ghost in the Shell on PS1, let me know.
They have it. But it's like $90.
Oh, man, F that. I will just get the Japan exchange, and you guys can tell me how to play it on my PlayStation.
It'll cost you more money to get the converter.
It
$90?
No, he might have marked it down because people don't like his prices that much. So I think he's marked some stuff down. So let me go back.
See if you can haggle for like $20.
I'll go there tomorrow because he's open on holidays. The dude lives in the shop, so he's open every day of the year, even Christmas.
He lives in the shop.
No, really, he has. So the shop is in a little like strip in Warrior, this little city close to where I live in Kimberly, and so it's there's a barbecue restaurant and then his shop, and he has a little living area in the back that he lives in.
Does he live off of barbecue?
I would, but I mean, I'm assuming he does. I don't know, but he has like a DirecTV satellite cable in there. He has a shower and everything. I mean, he has
really?
a maid. Yeah, I swear.
I mean, you would never get bored because you could just play the games over and over again. Be like,
yeah.
What do I feel like today? NES, SNES, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 3.
And it's a hole-in-the-wall place, but they are the #1 place in Alabama to get your updated Magic the Gathering decks and cards and whatnot.
All right, when I come down there next time, we'll meet up and you take me there and Kingdom again.
Magic the Gathering's horrible though. So
I don't care about Magic. I want to experience video games, man.
I mean, the store is not really all that great. It's just he has cool games and he lives in it.
You know what, Josh? Sometimes, look, I get it. Don't get me wrong with the price, but sometimes when you want a really good game, just gonna have to save up a little bit and drop that dime.
Maybe for your birthday, me and Larry will put money in. He can send me some money and we'll get it for you.
Retro Gamers exclusive here, so if it happens, it'll be on on my Snapchat.
Yeah, apparently anything that happens on this show happens in real life.
Yeah.
That's the way I view it. I mean,
well, I have to go throw my head into a wall. The Cavaliers just won.
I'm sorry.
The whole thing?
No, well, they won the Eastern Conference.
Wait, they're not in the finals yet?
The finals starts on Tuesday.
Finals. Oh, good lord. Good thing I don't
The
watch basketball.
Western Conference is tomorrow, and then the final starts Thursday.
All right. Well, there's your local sports news by Brandon.
Yeah. NBA, baby. Best sport besides wrestling.
As Anthony's listening to this and now pulling his hair out, screaming at his phone, why are they not talking about video games? Let's bring it back real quick to video games. And
how about sports games?
I was just going to say, in all honesty, sports, if you want to play some good sports games, get yourself a Dreamcast. The 2K series debuted on it. Basketball, football. I mean, they were good. I was going to list, both Sonic games, which... Siri, please, I'm trying to record something.
If only you could turn off your thing there.
Please, it's the fact that's another voice in my house. That's what I need. That's not in my head. Actually Royal Rumble for Dreamcast was a great game as well, Brandon.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Yep. Very good, like, arcade-style game. That was fun about the Dreamcast. Very arcade-style. And it came out, it was, one of the last systems there in the 90s. Came out 9/9/99. September 9th, 1999.
I seriously might go get one for real, like, sometime soon.
I'm telling you. But speaking of 90s games, 2000s, that era of gaming, which was huge. That time in gaming, I mean, we saw... with the PlayStation coming out, with the N64 coming out, the era of polygon gaming, which gave us these 3D worlds, that gave us Super Mario 64, that gave us Tomb Raider, that gave us Resident Evil. The 90s was really this pinnacle change in gaming history. Just like when you went from Atari to Nintendo and the Master System. Mm-hmm. Just this giant change in almost philosophy in how games are going to be made. What was kind of some of the games? And I know you mentioned some of it. Just talk about some of the games you used to play growing up. What were some of your favorite games, especially of the '90s, of the 2000s? Just ones that when you hear, retro style gaming, just come right to your mind.
Just going first.
Anybody.
You can go first, man.
I made a list.
You just made the list.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Go for it, Brandon.
All right, so I was able to think of 17 games that...
Oh, all right.
When I think about my childhood of gaming, is the games that I always nostalgia.
All right, start rifling them off.
All right, well, I will. I'll start from the bottom and go up. Number 17, Tekken 2.
Okay. Those Tekken series, I think, just helped the PlayStation. Helped it get it out. Helped it get into the market. And just a great 3D fighter.
The intro of the game was what got me real hooked on it. It was really cool, and the music was cool.
Yep.
Number 16 is Pokemon Silver for the Game Boy.
I never got into the Pokemon games. Not until... I didn't buy like a legit Pokemon game until a couple years ago when they started re-releasing them on 3DS. That was the first time I played a Pokemon game, and I missed out on a whole generation.
Oh man, they were so much fun.
Good.
I know.
Yeah, big thing. 15 is Medieval 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that game
what is it?
Freaking good.
Medieval
2.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. And 14, which people might give me crap for just being so low, the Spyro Year of the Dragon.
What is wrong with you?
You're going to be really mad when you hear what ranked higher than that.
Oh my goodness. All right, keep going.
Number 13 was Tigger's Honey Hunt.
Shocker.
I love
Shocker.
that was like, wasn't that like the first game you broadcasted for us?
Yeah. I think
Yes.
it was one of the first.
He was like, no, it was during the horror. It was during the horror month. He was like,
Oh, that's-
I don't remember
And he didn't
the
have
game I was
any.
going to play. I didn't have
the
any.
game I got was bad. It was really bad. Like I couldn't figure out how to play it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to the format's thrown out the window already at this point, people. So, but I do want to keep a little bit of the old show on here. And because you mentioned Tigger's Honey Hunt, ladies and gentlemen, this week's cheat of the week is Tigger's Honey Hunt, where you can actually skip the levels in the game. And this is on the PlayStation. So at the beginning of the level, you want to input L1, L1, L2, L1, R2, R1. And you can skip the level in Tigger's Honey Hunt for the PlayStation, and that's this week's cheat of the week.
Wow.
I know I had to throw that in there somewhere.
Never
Took me a
knew
while to
that.
find it.
That's crazy.
See?
Man. All right. So number 12 is NCAA football 2006, and you want to know why?
Okay. Why's
This
that?
is the first NCAA football game ever had a proper soundtrack, like music, not like the band music. It
Okay.
had like punk, like Bad Religion, Pennywise, Superchomp, the Pixies, stuff like that, and I loved it. And so that game has a nostalgia factor for me because I'm a big punk rock fan and love college football.
Okay.
So that was real big. Number 11 is Mortal Kombat 3.
All right. You know, hold off there. I know you got your top 10 coming up. Mortal Kombat 3, I'm kind of surprised is that low on the list, but that's okay. No problem.
You're gonna love.
Let's take a moment, see what we have here. Josh, do you have any? I don't know if you made a list or anything, or you just have.
I didn't.
You did.
I didn't. I'll wing it.
That's okay. What are some of your favorites?
Obviously, like I said, the first time we were on the show, like Tomb Raider was really big on my list growing up. Power Rangers was another big one growing up, but I think past that, we talked about it. I've talked about handhelds on here with you guys. Obviously, one of the biggest ones that got me into gaming and stayed consistent for me was the Pokemon games.
Okay.
Like, I really enjoyed the Pokemon games. I enjoyed a lot of the like my dad used to detail cars, and so like randomly sometimes like he would get cars from dealerships that would still have like random games in them.
Really?
So I got a copy of Spyro and Crash Bandicoot on Game Boy Advance.
Oh wow.
And like I loved playing those games. Like I played them through on and on, like just over and over again. So like the iconic games like that, and then I kind of got out of video games, but like obviously I grew up on things like Pong and Pac-Man and the classics that are not E.T. I still desire to play E.T. I don't know why. I desired to play Superman 64. I played it and I was like, dear God, what have I done?
You've unlocked the holy hell that was Superman 64.
I got like into like the first like level or two, and I was like couldn't get past it because I couldn't get the controls. They're so bad. And I remember talking to Anthony about it. I was like, why are the controls this bad? He was like, this is the reason the game sucked.
It really was. The Superman, it just got, I don't know why, it just never got a really good game. At least a lot of bad games. But like we were talking about with Double Dragon, sometimes a game is so bad, it's good. Haven't really come across one of those, but you still have to try the bad ones anyway so you know what we went through.
I hate it. I couldn't get into like, but like some of the other ones, like the hidden gems of the 90s, like their Justice League International was a great game. Mutant Genesis was another great game. Like just I really dug the Justice League one because it's like an early version of like Injustice. But it's like it has that feeling of like Mortal Kombat or like Street Fighter 2.
You talking about on Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
Justice League Task Force. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yep. Oh, I love that game. Very underrated. Well, it wasn't on my list. I should have put that one on my list. Oh well. But I did love that game.
Oh, Larry made a list too. Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. You showed it the other night.
Yeah.
It's like whatever.
Let's figure. What do you? Oh, yeah. I'm old school. I'm still using paper.
I can't. I have bad handwriting, so.
Oh, please. My handwriting's terrible. I could be a doctor.
I left a note on a teacher's board the other day at work, and they were like, "Hey, I wonder what student wrote this because there's no students here. It's the last day for teachers." I was like, "I wrote that." They're like, "Oh."
Do not accept this check by Homer J. Simpson. But no, those, and I see, Josh, you lean towards a lot of the, besides Pokemon, you lean towards like the superhero, DC games, Marvel games, which obvious because that's what, you're very into the comics and things along those lines. So that totally makes sense. Brandon, back to you. Let's see what else you have on the right with your top 10.
Dude, the top 10 is going to be awesome.
All right.
On number 10, this is the greatest basketball game ever made. And I'm going to tell you why it's not NBA Jam. I'm going to tell you why it's NBA Ballers for PS2.
Ballers? Wow, okay.
Dude, game was awesome. I beat everyone in 6th grade with Petros Stojakovic. He didn't miss a three. If you want to win, just get that hot shot with Pages. Boom, every time. The GOAT. Which I'm speaking Spanish to Josh right now.
Actually, speak Spanish to me too. I never follow basketball, but I'm taking your word on it, brother. Don't worry.
Yeah. If you ever play it, just remember Pages and all his Serbiat. And number 9 is Super Street Fighter 2. And the reason why is because the new character is like my favorite character. Well, my favorite character of all time is Vega in Street Fighter.
Okay.
But I'm a huge Cammy fan. I like Fei Long a lot too. So I always would play it and played with those three. Well, Vega was the what?
No, I was gonna say. I mean, with the four of them, you're right. Cammy, Fei Long, then you had T-Hawk and DJ.
Yep.
Also made their debuts in Super Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. DJ, to me, is a video game version of No Way Jose.
I can see that.
Josh, do you get the reference?
I can see that.
Okay.
No way. Jose.
Jose.
No way.
No way. Jose. Yeah.
Look,
a number.
Anthony's not paying me to be here, but I am going to implement his no singing rule.
Come on.
Continue.
Now.
So, number 8 is going to be Mario 64.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
and I'll tell you why it's so low.
Okay.
I didn't have a 64. My aunt had it.
Mm-hmm.
So I could only play it when I was at my aunt's house.
Mm-hmm.
I just now was able to get a 64 a couple of years ago and got the game. So if I would have had the system myself, it'd been a lot higher. But there's those games where like I have something to look forward to when my aunt was going to keep me. I was like, I can go over there and play Mario. So that was kind of like.
So it's kind of like.
But that game changed everything, though.
Oh, absolutely. So I feel like for you, like Super Mario was almost went the other way around, where you played all these other games that almost were inspired by Super Mario 64. Then you went back, like to really play it, not just when you go over your aunt's house to really sit down and play it. So you kind of went backwards, not in a bad way. Then you went backwards to Super Mario 64, and then you can see how all these games really kind of generated from Super. Because when Super Mario 64 came out, it was a game changer, literally. I remember
it really was. First time I ever played it, like the way I felt playing that was how I felt on Christmas this year when I got Mario Odyssey.
Okay, cool. No,
like,
you're right. Because Mario Odyssey is probably the best Mario since Super Mario 64.
The game is
hands down.
Goodness, it's incredible.
And I still never got. I've only gotten 119 stars out of 120. I never got that last star on Super Mario 64.
Yeah, I'm still working my way.
And I sold the game back a long time ago, and that was the last time I vowed I ain't selling back games anymore.
Well, if you need it.
What happened, Josh?
Did you ever find it?
The last star or my old game?
You're both.
No, the old game was gone. I sold it to I don't know if you guys had it where you were. We had a Funko Land that I sold it to. Mm-hmm. This was years ago. Funko Land was kind of the first game stores to buy and sell used games. But no, I never really went back to play it that much to get back to that level. It just destined to, look, my history. I'm not really a completer here. I don't really complete video games. And Super Mario is going to be one of those ones that's going to go down in history. Yes, Josh.
Look, so if history continues in 2018 the way that it has in 2016, 2017, 2018, we should be on track to get a N64 classic And chances are that game will probably be included in that, so you can cross that off your list.
Absolutely. No, you're exactly right. They put the patent in. Nintendo put the patent in. So in years past, they've usually put the patent on the NES, on the SNES, right around this time, the beginning of summertime. And then the end of that year is when we see the new system. Because if history repeats itself, the inside of a Super Nintendo Classic and the inside of an NES Classic are the exact same thing. It's the exact same board, exact same everything. So they'll just throw a case, a shell around that looks like an N64. And if Super Mario 64 is not included in it, I mean, there will be hell to pay. But you're right,
no one will
Josh.
buy it.
Maybe you're right. Once I
number
get that,
7.
Go for it, Brandon. He's on a roll.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I like it.
Number 7 is Spider-Man.
For PlayStation?
PS1.
Great.
Yeah.
Game was fantastic.
I loved it.
Hey, real quick side note. What's up with Electro, right? He's going to be the new villain in the Homecoming 2?
No, that's
not Electro.
No, Mysterio.
Mysterio, yeah.
That's
Jake Gyllenhaal, come on.
Rey Mysterio.
Man.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
Mysterio,
Mysterio's in it, dude.
I'm pumped about it.
Yeah,
so.
You want to hear a funny story about Spider-Man real quick?
What do you got?
But the first night I ever beat that game. All right, so my grandparents used to always go to Walmart late at night, and I'd always go with them. And this is back when Walmart had the system, either a demo disc or a whole game in the system, and you get the TV was at the top of the cabinet of the games. Okay. So they were there so long. I started Spider-Man and beat it
at Walmart
while they brought groceries. Yeah.
So you beat it for free.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It was incredible.
That's better than my mom.
Groceries
That's better than my mother getting someone fired at Toys R Us because they didn't get me a video game.
Yeah. Hey, that's happened to me, kind of. Someone lost their job at Six Flags because I won this basketball game, and I wanted the North Carolina Tar Heel basketball because it had Vince Carter's number on it. Which it probably wasn't for him, but the number was on it. I knew it was his number. But the lady, it was too far up, so she refused to get it for me. And she told me I couldn't get it, that I didn't have enough points, which I did. My mom cussed her out and told the manager, and she got fired.
Awesome.
Terrible.
That was great. So moving on. Number 6 is Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance.
Okay.
Hey, now.
We've covered that.
It's a good game, man. It had a demon in it, man. They did a song for the game. I would sing it, but I can't, apparently.
Number 5.
No, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
Ooh,
that's
really?
A good game.
Dude, it was fantastic.
Maybe I got spoiled with the first 2. Okay.
Number 4
game.
is my favorite fight game of all time. Killer Instinct.
Ooh, good one. Yep.
Dude.
I don't think I ever played it.
Yeah, it's Mortal Kombat just with like monsters, if you will.
Darker. A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our friends over at Retro Rewind actually streamed it last year at some point. I think in September they did it with Geek Devotions.
Okay. Yeah, it was a fun game. Mortal Kombat Gold on the N64 came out.
Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct. Gosh darn it. And cut, edit, here we go. Killer Instinct Gold was coming out, on the N64. Killer Instinct was big on the N64, too. I remember that. Now, new Killer Instinct that came out recently on one of the new gen consoles, I think. But, no, it was a good game.
I loved it. All right, so my top 3 are already.
Here we go.
Number 3 is Jak and Daxter, the first one.
Okay.
It's a decent game.
Decent, dude. It's incredible.
I never really got into it, but I think I actually have. I think I have the the remastered version. I think it was like Games with Gold one month. So.
It was awesome. Okay. Number 2 is a game that changed my music taste completely. Tony Hawk's Underground, the first one.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I play that game all the time still. I'm 25 and I still play it all the time.
It's a good game. I mean, I don't remember ever hating any of the Tony Hawk games. Tony Hawk just made decent products.
Yeah. I'll tell y'all a story. When the game store here first opened up, I went. He had a PS2, a slim one in the box, and I said, "Hey man, I'll make you a deal. If you have Tony Hawk's Underground, I will buy this system." He was like, "All right, if I find it, you have it for free. Let's buy the system." All right. I looked for like an hour because he had games like in envelopes and stuff. I found it, and I got the PS2.
Nice.
Nice.
And a free game. Sweet.
Yeah. So my number one, give me a drum roll. Kingdom Hearts.
Good one.
Can't argue that.
Kingdom Hearts. That game, that was probably one of the best crossovers. One of the most ingenious ideas from Square Enix to basically combine Final Fantasy and Disney. And
I would dare to say that it's probably the best
probably
video game crossover.
Yeah, you're right. I can definitely say that, and I can see that, especially for the properties that they were, two of the best properties in their elements. That first Kingdom Hearts, and what stinks is I got to 100 Acre Woods and I got stuck royally in Kingdom Hearts, and that's where I've been for the last 10 years. I haven't played it since. I got to put that bad boy back in. But with Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out soon, and they always had those weird remixes like 1.5, 2.8, and 1.4 final remix, which I have on the PS3. I got to put those back in. I got to start playing them again because they were just overall amazing games and amazing concepts.
Yeah, man, they gave me so much nostalgia. Like the theme song, the song for the first game. Like I hear that, and like I just feel. When I hear that, when I hear the song, I still feel the moment when I first saw the trailer for the game on TV when I was a kid. Yep. I remember like just seeing the trailer and thinking, "Hey, I needed a PS2 for my birthday in that game." Okay, because I didn't have a PS2 at the time. But I got it so I could get that.
That series and God of War are two, I think, the best series that the PS2 came out with. In my opinion. Well, PlayStation, not just PS2. PlayStation, because it went over to 3 and now 4.
We are talking about, Josh said that he thinks that's probably the best crossover game ever. I would agree, too, because honestly, the hype has never died.
It's true. There's always been an audience for it.
Yeah. I mean, even when they made the pops for the game, people freaked over that. I mean, anything they do with that game, people freak over. I don't know. It was just
the crappy Game Boy Advance games and the DS games sold real well as well.
Yeah, they did. The PSP games did pretty good too.
Yeah, and the clamoring for Kingdom Hearts 3, which comes out later this year.
Yeah, I bought a PS4. I bought a PS4 2 years ago because that game got announced.
Yep.
But then I sat there with the PS4 and not playing it because they didn't release the game, so I ended up selling it to the game store guy. So I'm going to buy another one when it comes out, though. But I got to get the Spider-Man game, too, that just came out.
Oh, that one's supposed to be really good.
I heard it was going to be awesome.
Yep.
I don't know if it's out yet or not.
No, not yet. I don't think so, not yet.
I want to get a PS3 again so I can play Batman Arkham City again.
Get a Switch.
I have one.
Oh, you have a Switch already. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Josh, you got any other games there that you're kind of swirling around in your brain there?
So, like, I grew up, like, going in and out of video games, so, like, I never was really in it as much as you guys, but, like, this past year, since knowing you and Anthony, like, I've really, and podcasting in general, like, I've really opened myself up to newer games that, like, I hadn't before, and, like, I would dare to say, like, one of the games that I loved a lot growing up, going back to superheroes, was Mutant Academy. X-Men Mutant Academy on PS1 was like one of my best, like, favorite games to pop in. Mm-hmm. I would just Friday nights, if I was off, pop it in, play some music, and would just go through it, the roster as best as I could, and I loved it. Like, it was one of those kind of games that, like, and I think the reason I like fighters is because you don't have to really invest a lot. It's just one of those things that, like a movie like Star Wars or Marvel, like, you can just pop those in and just unwind. Mm-hmm. And, like, fighters are great for that. Like, to me, as violent as they are, like, they're relaxing. So I don't know what that says about my mortality.
No, I can see that because it's not like levels. Like you don't have to find, like you're not on missions to find things. It's just a one-on-one fight. You win, you move on. You know what I mean? So I get that. I can know exactly where you're coming from.
But yeah, Castlevania, like in this past year, like I've fallen in love with that. And again, just some of these Disney games that like I didn't really know about. Like I'm really falling in love with that, which is so weird that, you know, you have like this like gothic and then kids games.
You want to talk, if you like Castlevania games, especially with the Netflix series, supposedly on Netflix, I don't know if it's true or not, I saw it on one of the Facebook pages, when you're going through like for Netflix choices, for the Castlevania series, they're actually using like the 8-bit Castlevania characters for the selection screen. I don't know how true that is, but if that is true, that's really cool to do. And then just to rifle off some of my list here, and I kind of went more, I'm trying to go more, when I say obscure, you know, you got your Super Mario, you got Zelda, Ocarina of Time, best Zelda, in my opinion, or at least top 3. I always go back and forth between that, Link's Awakening, and Link to the Past for Zelda. But some games that are really good as well, Medal of Honor on PS1, Star Wars, Shadow of the Empire on N64, Operation C, which is the Contra game on Game Boy. I mean, these games you have to go out and check, which are absolutely fantastic.
Oh, good.
Another one, you know, my vertical scrollers, my side scrollers, Super R-Type for Super Nintendo. Let's go back and, you know, just some of these games I would just play endlessly. Brandon, yesterday when we were talking about baseball games. Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball on Super NES. Was probably one of my favorite baseball games of all time. The graphics, awesome. Just the ease of play, and that's baseball. Hockey, I've said it before and I'll say it again. NHL PA 93 on Genesis, in my opinion, best hockey game on the Genesis. And Josh kind of circled it back with superhero games. 2 of probably the best superhero games on the Super Nintendo, and I believe their ports on Genesis were fantastic as well. You had The Adventures of Batman and Robin, which is based off the cartoon during the 90s, and Death and Return of Superman, which was pretty much centered around the comic, The Death and the Return of Superman, which, fun fact, I had sealed a Death of Superman comic and a Return of Superman comic. God help me if I know where they are now, but I did have them sealed at one point. I owned them.
I mean, they're pretty much not valuable now.
Well, good, then I don't care.
Because like I can go to like the local secondhand comic store here, and you can pick them up. I think they're like $1 or $2.
No, all right, good. I'm glad I lost them. Screw them.
Hey, I had a thought.
What happened?
You reminded me. You talk about obscure games. I remember a game that a buddy of mine gave me a while back that he had that I didn't know existed. It was a Gundam Wing fighting game.
Oh, they were huge over in Japan. And
I never had it. Yeah, I don't remember which one this one was, but I played it a while back. It was actually really fun. But I'm a Gundam fan. Like I love Gundam Wing growing up.
How about
Robotech?
Robotech?
Really cool game. I've heard of that. I've never played it.
Okay, because there's the Kickstarter that I'm a part of for Coleco Mini Evolve. These little mini arcade machines. Mm-hmm. 2 of them. One is going to be Robotech, and the other one is a Rainbow Bright RPG on these little like 2 3/4 size screens, 2 3/4 screens. Kickstarter still got, I think it's got about 10 or 9 days from the time we are recording here. They're cool, like little mini arcade machines. But Gundam was good. If you like Gundam as well, I feel like there's a game series called Front Mission, which it's not Gundam, but you pretty much take over a giant mech robot and you just, fighting other robots. It's pretty cool. It has a very Shining Force feel to it as far as the moveset, how to play the game. And one more game I just want to mention, a bit obscure. I'm just going to throw this out because I remember my dad loved this game. My father commandeered my systems for 2 games. He commandeered my original NES for Dr. Mario. I would just wake up and he'd be in my room playing. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm playing your game. Go to bed. I'm like, okay. So he played. Actually, he loved it. Dr. Mario. And on the Super Nintendo, it's called Desert Strike. War in the Gulf. Now, my father veteran, Vietnam veteran, proud veteran. This game, Desert Strike, I've never seen a person play a helicopter game based on the Iraq War better than him. He was all over this game. It was probably after he came back, too, because he was called up, actually, for that first Iraq War. But, yeah, he loved that game as well, Desert Strike. I just picked that up recently myself. So those are some of the obscure games that I quite enjoyed playing. Oh, what do you got?
Oh, my God.
What do you
I
got?
left the game off my list.
Which
oh, my
one?
gosh.
We're still recording. It's okay.
The Emperor's New Groove. The game was awesome.
I never saw that movie.
What is awesome?
I know the story, but I never saw the movie.
The game was so good. Oh my gosh, I looked that off. Oh, shame of me.
Where would you put
What's
it?
wrong
game-
with you?
I probably put it in like top 10, maybe.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
You have
I
some
played it
weird
all the
taste,
time.
bro.
Dude, I almost put SmackDown 2 New Roll in there.
SmackDown, the first SmackDown game was the reason why I bought a PlayStation.
That was fun.
That game came out,
But-
and that was the PlayStation. My first PlayStation I actually bought used. First system, the only system I've ever bought used.
Let's be honest.
Didn't you buy that last year?
SmackDown,
What did you say, Josh?
Didn't you buy that last year?
Well, no, I mean originally. I did. I bought a PS1 again because I can't, again, Sandy, whatever. But originally, when I bought the PlayStation in college, I bought it for SmackDown.
College. I want
Great
to just
game.
point something out real quick. Everyone says that No Mercy is the best wrestling game of all time. It's not.
Really?
I don't think it is.
All right. Which one do you think?
WWE SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain.
Wow. PlayStation 2. See,
That was a really good game.
all right. When we're gonna have you back on the show, Brandon, talk about that one because I'm gonna want Anthony on with that because the three of us can really get down to the nitty gritty on wrestling games. I feel
we can.
that's only because you didn't actually, and I don't take this in a bad way, but you're much younger than me. So I think
Oh, yeah.
because you were in the era of the PlayStation 2, that's probably why. But if you were around originally when like No Mercy came out, when WrestleMania 2000 came out, you may have a different feel. I think.
You're not wrong. I mean, I thought the In Your House game was a good game. So.
I enjoyed In Your House. It was all right. It was
I
corny.
used to have that.
I enjoyed it. But all right, we're
Yeah,
gonna have you.
we need to do for an episode on wrestling games. We should do that.
Well, when SummerSlam comes around, we should do the wrestling era games. So we'll
Oh
see.
yeah,
Well, maybe
let's
before
do it.
that.
It's coming up.
Or on whenever I do
Money.
my fourth podcast about wrestling.
Yeah,
we can talk about
or
that.
Money in the Bank.
And then I have no life because I'll have 4 podcasts. We'll be that as it may. All right, so there's a lot of, all these games are really awesome. My list, your list, Josh, your list, Brandon. Even though they may sound a little weird, my list has some odd games on it. You know what? As long as the games make you happy, that's what it's all about.
I noticed one thing about your list,
Me or him?
Talking to me.
Larry.
What is that?
For as much as you claim to love it, there's no Virtual Boy on your list.
Because I talked verbatim about it before, but see, what you don't know is that this whole time I had
He's
the
writing it
games.
down.
I don't know what you're talking about. I had the games on the list. Look at that right there, okay?
Yeah,
right
there it is, yeah.
Right there, all right? So I
That's
just
right.
figured,
Right now.
I just figured, I've already talked about them, so why talk about... Oh, I dropped my pen. I don't know why I had my pen in my hands. So
I do.
That's it. I'm ending the show now. How dare you call me out on that?
No,
On my own
you
podcast.
don't end it until I tell you to end it.
What? What is this hostile takeover between the two of you?
Dude, he's the CEO of this network.
No,
apparently.
Yeah.
don't feed
I
into that.
need a GM, all right?
And I'm booking a tag team match. Playa.
Look,
Oh my
you
gosh.
said it yourself, okay? Solo podcast never works, so we're here to fire you and take it back.
Actually, I hate to say it. Solo podcast on the Yin and the Yang solo episode, he nailed it. He hit it out of the park.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Larry's solo podcast of Pro Slam World.
Ugh, they were tough. Even I'll admit, they were tough. It's just hard. It's hard to bounce when you don't have anyone there.
Those good. Anthony Chu has great personality that he could carry a whole show by himself.
It's episode 32 of the Yin and the Yang podcast, and I was shocked because I thought, and I still think it's very difficult to do a solo show, but he did that show for over an hour, and I thought it was hysterical. So,
for some people, that's therapy, man.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's good.
Like, I don't mind talking. I just feel like people don't want to hear me for that long. So, well, that's me. And it's probably true.
I mean, we both listen to Pro Slam, so
this is true.
I got something to say, Larry.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when we did that live video, you know my buddy Josh that commented on and talked to us some?
Mm-hmm.
He actually asked me who you were because he wanted to add you on Facebook because he enjoyed listening to us talk wrestling. So, yeah, a fan. Josh Allen.
Oh, I hope I didn't accidentally delete him because I didn't know who he was. If that was the case, have him friend me again. Be more than happy.
I saw that he wrote on one of your posts the other day, so I don't know.
All right, then maybe I did accept him already. All right, cool. So, but speaking of podcasts, you guys do a wonderful podcast. We're going to start to wrap this one up. Let them know where they can hear you guys and your wonderful mission and everything like that.
All right, so this is, I guess, my time to shine since I know all the social media stuff. I handle most of our social media. Just pulling the curtain back. Brandon runs Twitter.
No.
Runs Twitter.
Runs.
All right. So here's where you guys can find us. You guys can find us. We are streaming episodes. We're off for the summer for our season finale. Just aired on X-Men Mutant Genesis. You guys can go to farsightedblog.com and we should be right on the first page. You guys can just scroll down, hit podcast. PS Midnight Cast is there. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. So you guys can check us out. Our first season all focuses on 90s. We're also on Spreaker as well, where you guys can find more episodes. But we will be going forth and having our entire first season up on Farsighted, hopefully soon.
All right, cool.
And then new seasons episodes coming up are going to be a lot more range we can go. So be some interesting stuff.
Yeah, we kind of felt that we didn't want to like specific because we are because we're like nostalgia and suicide prevention similar to Victims. We just didn't. I felt when I approached Brandon with the idea of expanding past that, like nostalgia period, was just to reach more people because depression and suicide, like it's not just a niche audience, and we want to be able to effectively reach more people.
Oh, good stuff. What you guys do over there is tremendous with the suicide prevention, in all honesty. And, good luck with that. Can't wait for season 2. I quite enjoyed season 1, and looking forward to the rest of the shows at the PS Midnight Cast.
It's the PCO Midnight Cast. Just kidding. I've been showing Josh videos of him recently.
Dude is insane. Dude is legitimately nuts.
Pierre.
I love every second of it.
I can't even. All right, so check them out, and of course with us, you can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts. The Instagram at @_RetroGamers, the website theretrogamers.com, of course facebook.com/retrogamerspodcast, and you mentioned social media. Do you have have you guys started up yet a PS Midnight Cast Instagram?
Yeah, we have PS Midnight Cast on Instagram. We suck at running it. We suck at running Facebook because mostly everything we do is through Victims.
Okay.
So you guys can check us out, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, for both Victims and Villains and PS Midnight Cast. And most importantly, if you guys are listening to this and you or someone you know is struggling with suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, you guys feel free to reach out to us on any of our social media, whether it's PS Midnight Cast or it's PS Midnight Cast or Victims and Villains or even the Retro Gamers. We talk to these guys pretty much every day, so they'll forward your message to us, but you guys can just know your value and your worth, and it's the reason why we're so grateful for our pod brothers over here at the Retro Gamers. But
and with that, yep, and with that, we're gonna wrap it up. You guys are the first here to help out with Anthony doing his jet setting, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on the show, and this honestly has been a tremendous trip. I love it. Josh, go watch Double Dragon, for crying out loud, just so you know what me and Brandon have gone through.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get nothing bad. I loved it.
Just so I can know what Larry goes through.
Well, Josh, why don't you say we get back in our ship and get to our current time? Get out of Larry's world.
Let's get out of this, man. I'm hating this. Everything's in red. Let's go.
Yeah.
As they get into their Jetsons mobile, they fly off into the sunset.
Which is a really great segue. Larry is going to be on Victims and Villains this Friday to talk all things Jetsons new comic series.
Wait, yes. Really?
This Friday.
Oh, wow.
As I completely remembered, always, this whole time. This Friday. Check it out, because everyone knows how much I love reboots. So, no, but in all honesty, yes, I can't wait to talk about more of the Jetsons with the comics, and it should be a good time. And with that, folks, thank you very much. Next week, we're going to have another guest host. Who it is, haven't figured it out yet, because I still got to line them up. But with that being said, thank you very much for listening to the Retro Gamers. Thank you for listening to the PS Midnight Cast and Victims and Villains. And I will catch you right here next week on the Retro Gamers.